how does this how does this script get to you?
I got Ben sent it to me. He goes, Ben found it. You'd have to ask him how he found it. I don't remember how he found it or how he came across it, but he said, I read this thing. He goes, it's great. He goes, we should do this. We can do it really quickly. It's ready to go. And I read it, and I had that same, every time I picked this script up, I was stuck for, it's like when you bump into Goodfellas on TV, it's like, oh, well, I'm here for 2 hours. I'm gonna watch the rest of this. But the script felt like that. It was like, oh, it was a page turner, and it was really exciting with all these characters. Really, it was a great kind of ensemble group it was fun thinking about, all right, who are we going to get to fill out this cast? And the parts were all just terrific.
Well, you talked about this after the screening in New York, that working with Viola Davis, it's like, this is easy. I mean, we're wrapped by 10:30 in the morning, and now we got to figure out what we're doing for lunch. She was that great as she plays Michael Jordan's mom.
Yeah, yeah. And that actually came from Michael. Ben went to see him before we got too pregnant with the movie. We basically, Ben said, well, I really need MJ's blessing. Like, I don't, we didn't want to do it. If he said, look, guys, that's not how anything happened. Don't just leave it alone. We would have left it alone. But actually what ended up happening was Ben went to talk to him, and he ended up, Ben called me after. I was in New York. I couldn't go down to Florida to see him. My kid had something that day. I can't remember, but I was waiting for Ben's call to see if we were going to go forward with this thing. Oh. And he goes, I got amazing news. He goes, I got great news and I got some bad news. I go, okay. And he goes, the great news is, he started to detail what Michael had told him. Michael was very specific about George Raveling being in the movie. Like, that was where he first heard about Nike, who he heard it from. And Howard White, as being these absolutely pivotal people in at that time and beyond, but specifically at that time. And then Ben was trying to get details about how everything went down, and Michael talked about his mother, and he talked about his mother with such reverence, that it was really moving for Ben, and Ben started to realize how pivotal she was, like, for him in this deal, in his life, and everything. And Ben said, okay, well, all right. Well, so clearly he's thinking to himself, well, we gotta rework, we got to rework this script. But he goes, who should play your mom? And before he got the sentence out, Jordan was like, Viola Davis. And he was like, absolutely, like, that's it. And so Ben said, the great news, he goes, I know exactly what we got to do. Like, I have great direction for our rewrite. We have these two new characters to bring in, and we really need to expand Dolores Jordan and really make this hers. And I said, well, great. What's the bad news? He goes, we have to get Viola Davis. He goes, if we don't get Viola Davis, we can't do the movie. I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, I think I said to him at that point, I was like, that's like having to get Michael Jordan on your basketball team. Like, she's an American treasure. So, but we rolled up our sleeves and really went to work on the rewrite and tried to write her a part that was worthy of her, and thankfully she agreed to do it. And I mean, as you saw, she's just, and it is that thing. I mean, I joke, but it's, I'd show up for work and do, a 7-page scene with her. And when you do a 7-page scene, normally in movies, a 2-page scene is the longest you'll do. But I do a long scene with Viola, and we'd be done by 10:30 in the morning. And I've just been in one of the best scenes I've ever been in my career. And she's like, we're like, what else are we going to do today? Like, I think that just happened. Like, it's really awesome working with somebody of that caliber.